So we're going to turn this end here into that, okay? So the first thing you need to do on the bench hook is use just a handsaw, and what we want to do is right here is to make a little shoulder cut, okay? So you can just use the edge there with the saw on the back stroke. This saw cuts on the push stroke, but this is so fine that we can do most of this on the backstroke. And all we're doing there is establishing a shoulder. Does that make sense? Okay, and then do the same thing on this side. Okay, so then what we want to do is, with this clamped in the vise, we want to scallop these corners here, so we're shaping. And that's the whole point of having it on the long stick, so you can clamp it while you're working. So we're going to use a 1/4 inch chisel, and we're going to primarily use it with the bevel edge down. Okay, so we get right in the corner here first, and you just make that primary facet. Okay, so kind of a 45-degree angle right in there. So you're just kind of scooping, and then same thing over here. Scoop like so. To come down from the top, because this is now end grain, we want to be very careful and do a slicing cut. Okay, so just knock that shoulder off. Can you guys see how I'm slicing? And then you can match it up with the other bevel you've already done. So same thing over here. You want to do a slicing cut. It's called a sweep cut. And then you can match it up. Right? Now we want to take care of those secondary facets. And that's when it starts to turn into a round shape. You know, if you want, you can touch that up with sandpaper. Totally up to you. Okay. I like to put just a little tiny bevel around the nose and around the heel. Okay, so to do that, you can just work a tiny little amount. Just be real careful as you're going off the corner there, because it's easy to chip a little piece out. And just take a little tiny bevel. Just gives it a more finished look. On this part here, take a little slice off the side, work in towards the center. And same thing this way, like so. Okay, and do any last finishing touches you want on there. Get it looking how you want. And that lets you get right in there. Depends if you want to keep those chisel marks or not. Like I said, some people really like them. Some people can't stand them. If you are going to sand it, just blend it and then finish it by going with the grain. You can do some 220. This is just 120 that I use. It's up to you. Okay, so back this time we're just going to cut it right through. Get it started and right off. Okay, so you've got your little piece like so. Okay, now with the file, we're going to take this square and we need to turn it into a round peg. Okay, so to do that, all we need to do is start this off by roughing it into a round. And this is not precise work or anything like that. Just use your eye. And notice I'm not going all the way down, I'm just doing the top. Okay? So it's just to get it started. Okay? Try to keep it centered. So this piece of metal here has, the hole is a 1/4 inch hole. Okay, so we're going to use that to do the actual cutting. So if I'm just going to start it there. Okay, and that just leaves a tiny little ring there, and now I know really where I need to get to. And it's okay to make the top smaller, because that post right now is longer than it needs to be. It's about 1/2 inch long, and we're only going to need it to be a little less than 3/8. By the time we're done. Okay, so again, work that on there. So what we're going to be doing is the metal bar is doing the final cutting. The file roughs it. So you can see how it starts to mushroom the lip out. Okay, you guys see that? Okay, so then we know exactly what we need to remove. Because the metal bar can only take off a little tiny bit at a time. So we do the file takes the majority off, and the metal bar takes the last little bit off. You gotta be careful to keep this straight down. If you torque it, it'll snap that peg, right? I'm just gonna raise this up a little bit. So we can get that right down as far as we can go. You can take this out of the vise and you can push it right through here. Do the last little bit by hand, okay? And it'll still though leave a tiny little bit right at the bottom edge there. Okay, so that we're gonna take care of with the chisel. Okay, so you've got to be super careful at this point. So we just go in and then you kind of scrape up the shank. Just take a little tiny bit off at a time. Okay, so there you've got your little piece. Okay, now that's too long. All right, so because our hole that it's going into is 3/8 deep, right? So we've got to shorten that, and the best way to do that is just with the sanding board. Okay, so if you just take the sanding board, and this is 60 grit paper, right? So it's pretty coarse, and just rub that until it goes to the length we need, and that should be about right. And then just do a little bevel on the edge there, so that it goes into your hole nicely. Okay, and it should be good. Let's see if it fits. Okay, so either the shank is still a little bit too long, or the holes are not fully 3/8 deep, one or the other. Okay, so just make adjustments as necessary, and that's it.